Squats can create a high degree of systemic fatigue. They beat up your whole body, which is dope because you get a lot of benefits out of it, but it's also going to cost you in some situations. Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization. Today's video is to compare hack squats to barbell squats for muscle growth, seeing where, how, and why you should do one or the other. By the way, Dr. Mike Israetel, professor of sport and exercise science, and I'm here to teach you how to get jacked, get lean, and, well, I guess live your best life or something like that. If you like this channel and you like what I'm trying to say, give us a subscription. I think that's a good thing in YouTube land. And also, if you're subscribed, we have a members area with tons of nerdy stuff. Get after that. And today's, well, essentially random question for you thinkers. Imagine you're at the club and an anthropomorphic zebra, that's right, standing on two legs. He's kind of fucking jacked, but he's a zebra. And he's like, hey, bro, you got a problem? Are you following him outside to settle shit? Or are you going to be like, dude, I can't. I'm good, man. I'm sorry. Whatever. I stepped on your hoof or some shit. Are you going to fight the zebra or not? Let me know in the comments. All right. To today's topic, which unfortunately is not about zebras. I could spend a long time talking about zebras, though I know that they're sort of like horses and have stripes, live in Africa, and that's the extent of my zebra knowledge. I do know a little bit more about hack squats and barbell squats, so let's compare the two movements. Let's talk about barbell squats first. We're going to have the benefits of barbell squats and the costs, kind of like downsides of barbell squats. Every single thing in this world has benefits and costs, bar none. So, benefits of barbell squatting. Free barbell squat in a rack, usually with a high bar position. First, barbell squats train the quads very well, absolutely. In addition to that, they train the glutes, the adductors, and the lower back quite well also, all in one movement, really cool. Squats can make you really real-world strong because they're technically a ballistic movement and they require a lot of balance. So if you get to be a strong squatter, you have a really strong pushing component of your lower body. It's going to transfer to real life and sport super, super well. Another benefit of squats is that they accommodate essentially almost all body sizes and proportions because the degrees of freedom for a barbell movement are kind of infinite. There's going to be something for everyone with the barbell squat. Like you could get into a machine and just not be the right size or shape for the machine. With the barbell, you're probably the right size and shape outside of some really crazy exceptions. And in the squat isn't just one exercise. It's a type of exercise with many subdivision exercises in it that you can use as variations. You can put bar position from front squat to high bar squat to low bar squat. That's 3 different squat exercises, all with the same implement. You can vary your stance, close, medium, and wide. You can sit back more. You can sit down more, all kinds of variations. So when you're saying, hey, how good of an exercise is the squat? You're really talking about a Swiss Army knife of exercises, which is really, really awesome. Now, the barbell squat, has some costs, kind of some downsides, things it's not great at. First, it could require a lot of technique training to master. Like one does not simply get good at squatting, unless you're Korean. You just do it the first time and it's perfect. Seems to be my experience. But FR, squats is a technical exercise. It's going to take you some time to learn. A lot of machines you get in, you look at the diagram picture on the machine and you realize the machine can't move any other way than exactly the way it's supposed to move automatically. Like you can only do it right. With a squat, there's a lot of ways to do it wrong, and it's going to take you some time to learn how to do it right. If you get off balance, especially with heavy loads in the squat, you can get hurt. Free weight movements have a potential to hurt you in a way that machines are unlikely to do. Squats can create a high degree of systemic fatigue. They beat up your whole body. They're kind of a, not whole body movement, but a lot of your body's involved. So they can really beat that ass, which is dope because you get a lot of benefits out of it, but it's also going to cost you in some situations. For some people in the squat, especially if you're proportioned with a shorter torso, longer femurs, if your ankle mobility isn't great, if your posterior chain, your glutes and your back aren't as strong, for folks like that, and that's very many people, the quads might not even be the limiting factor in the squat. So if you're trying to use the squat to grow your quads, but you happen to be in a group of people for whom the limiting factor is their lower back or their flexibility or whatever, then the squats are no longer a great exercise for your quads. They could still be a great all-around lower body movement, but maybe not the ideal quad movement. Even if you do them right, and even if you're well built for them, your back and your posterior chain, which is really your back, your glutes, your hamstrings, can get beat up a lot, especially via what's called axial fatigue. The squat bar squishes down on your spine. It requires all the supporting core musculature to be active, and that drains you. And it can cost you later in the week on movements for hamstrings or for back, in which you need your axial skeleton, the part of your skeleton that keeps you upright, your spine and pelvis and shoulder girdle, to be fresh. And squats can really beat you up, which isn't a terrible thing, but it's like if you really gas up squats, a couple days later, you go to stiff-legged deadlifts and your back's like, fam, that's not going to work. It's sure not going to work as well as it could. It could hurt your barbell rowing. So squats beat you up in a systemic and axial way, in a way that other exercises, preview, like the hack squat, may not. So it's a great exercise, but it comes with some costs. And squats cannot really be trained by most people effectively with quads as the limiting factor for higher repetitions. Anything over about 15 reps for most people, the limiting factor for squats becomes breathing. One of the reasons is that the bar is continuing to crush you the entire time. And so your ability to stay upright and keep your lungs expanded really starts to degrade. So you start to cave over. And it's such a huge systemic cardio component that after rep number 16, you're not like, oh, my quads are really feeling tight and really close to failure. You're just standing there between reps going, and it's just, you're going to stop because you can't breathe anymore, not because your quads are kicked out. So anything over about 15 reps is just not an appropriate rep range for squats. You can still do them, but at that point, you're working more on cardio and less on your quad stimulus to get as big of quads as you can. So definitely some downsides there. Now let's look at hack squats. Benefits. They train the quads very, very well. The machine is purpose-built for that. Another benefit is they train the adductors okay and the glutes a little bit. They don't train much of anything else. So definitely not as big of a whole body benefit or whole lower body benefit as squats, not by a mile. Another benefit of hack squats is they leave the posterior chain alone quite well. So if you like fry the shit out of your quads with hack squats, 2 days later, you can do stiff-legged deadlifts and bent rows till you're blue in the face, no problem. And your quads are sore, they're tired, but your lower back, your glutes, your hamstrings, generally are going to be largely unaffected by hack squats. Hack squats, in addition, cause much less systemic and even axial fatigue than squats. It's especially apparent once you lock out a hack squat rep and you lock your knees out. Don't worry, it's totally safe. We have videos on that at RP talking about why that's safe. And if you just stand there for a couple seconds and take some breaths, you'll notice the implement isn't crushing you a ton. The machine takes a ton of the load off for you. Now, when you're moving, you're taking all the load. But when you're locked out and leaned back into it, you're not getting a ton of systemic and axial fatigue, just milking out your fatigue like crazy. It's a thing, but it's very subtle. Whereas if you just stand there with a squat bar between reps, you're going to just feel drained and drained and drained. So set for set, hack squats do not beat up your system. They don't make you tired as much for overall training. They don't drain you as much, nor do they beat up your axial skeleton, nor do they beat up, cause a lot of axial fatigue nearly as much as barbell squats do. Because of the fact that you have a bracing component with the machine, you can do higher reps functionally with hack squats with the quad still being a limiting factor. So 15 to 20 reps, no problem, especially if you do them like myo reps with rest breaks, which you can't do with barbell squats because it'll just collapse at some point. Cardio is often not going to be the limiting factor with hack squats, and you can successfully do higher repetition work. So now with regular barbell squats, you're doing sets of 5 to 10 or 10 to 15. Those are really the only two rep ranges. With hack squats, you can do sets of 5 to 10. You can do sets of 10 to 15, and you can do sets of 15 to 20. So it's instantly another bubble of variation you get from hack squats, which was unavailable to you with squats. Now, what about the costs of hack squats, the downsides? For many shorter people, short kings and queens, such as myself, for example, although I was hanging out with Jeff Nippard once, how's that for a name drop? And when I said short kings, he asked me if I meant short gods. And I was like, I took a knee because it's Jeff Nippard. And I was like, yes, my lord. And Jeff Nippard definitely is a short god. I'm still a short king because I'm saying I ain't god. But Scott the video guy, am I a short god yet?
I would say so.
My man. Thank you for noticing me up there in your sky high. You know what I'm saying? What are you, 5'10" or some shit?
It's true.
You're like an average, as well you should, and morally. So short kings, short queens might have a problem with hack squats because many machines bottom out before that deep stretch. That greatly limits the effect because the deep stretch at the very bottom of the squat movement, be it hack squat, be it leg press, be it barbell squat, when your quads are when your hamstrings are pushing against your calves and your quads are shearing apart, that's actually the most muscle growth promoting part of the movement. And many hack squats are designed to bottom out before that, mostly for the sake of safety, because they don't want someone to pin and fucking shoot their asshole out of the machine, because they don't know what they're doing. But because of that, they set the pins relatively high, and many tall people can get a great full range of motion, especially that bottom stretch, but shorter people sometimes can't. And that means as a short king or queen, you might have to do some barbell squatting in order to get that super lengthened portion, because you just might not be available to you because the two hack squat machines at your gym may both be I was going to say too tall for you to access, you to put up a little stool and get on the machine. That's not what I mean. They bottom out too soon. That's definitely a thing. And you know what I'm saying? Your boy be bottoming shit out here, left, right, center. Isn't that right? Ha. And I don't mean machines either, big homies. I mean girls. And they're, I think I've seen an encyclopedia about sex and they had that in there. Scott, the video guy, what does it mean to bottom out in the context of when two people are in love with each other in the bedroom all night together?
I think that's an urban myth.
You don't think it happens to me?
I don't think it's possible to happen. Not with what I'm working with, you know what I'm saying?
That's my boy. Honesty is the most attractive characteristic. I just thought straight up tell the host, bitch, I ain't gonna do you dirty like that. Your boy ain't packing. And she's like, dope, let's get out of here. Do whatever we can with that, whatever you got. And it's going to be disappointing even then. In any case, I digress. Second downside of the hack squat is, remember, the squat has a ton of variation. You got bar positions, you got foot stances. That's at least like fucking 6 variations right there, if not 9 or some shit. In the hack squat, maybe foot position, though wide stance hack squats feel kind of fucking weird. So you might be able to do like wider and narrower. That's 2 variations. And maybe just rep range. Now, luckily, there's 3 rep range variations instead of the 2 that we can have for regular squats. But really, the hack squat is the hack squat is the hack squat. This is not much. It's just one thing. You just do one thing in there. It's like a more extreme example would be like a low row machine. Like, so what can you do with it? Like, well, that's it. But if you have a barbell with which to do rows, oh my God, you can do low, you can do underhand, you can do high, all kinds of stuff. So definitely less variation. So if someone's like, I want to train legs, but I have a home gym, should I buy a hack squat? Usually it's like, oh, hold on, no, you can only really do one thing on there. Are you sure you want to spend $5,000 and 10 square feet of space in your gym to just be able to do one thing? You could get a power rack and do 100 things. So that's definitely a downside. And because of the frictional component, like with all machines, the hack squat makes the concentric phase a little bit harder than it needs to be and the eccentric a little easier. It's kind of the opposite of what we would want to optimize hypertrophy when a very, very difficult eccentric, because it grows a little bit more muscle with a little bit less fatigue imposed, and perhaps a just as easy or easier concentric. A barbell free weight movement, the concentric and eccentric, since there's no meaningful friction from the air, thank God, and it operates in the same way up or down, then you have a really awesome delivery of eccentric load. Whereas with a hack squat, especially with an older, rustier machine, the eccentric's just much easier and the concentric is much harder. And that probably, just by a small margin, lowers the stimulus to fatigue ratio. This is a very, very austere, very theoretical point. But nonetheless, if we're being pedantic and nerdy, which welcome to our channel, we got to make note of that. So taking all those costs and benefits into account, what are the best use cases for barbell squats and the best use cases for hack squats? Barbell squats, best used for beginners and intermediates. That doesn't mean advanced people can't use them. They just have to use them in a bit more of a nuanced way. Best use case for barbell squats is for folks that just want to do a few exercises to train their whole body. Like if I've got a housewife coming to me, and they do, oh boy, they're coming. Oh wait, that's a video I saw. Housewife trains twice a week. You're probably not going to have her do hack squats. It really just targets the quads and maybe the adductors a little. And then so what do? You do another exercise for glutes and another one for lower back and another one for adductors. How much time do we have? But if you have a housewife that trains with you, you're a personal trainer or you're a housewife, and you just do barbell squats, I mean, fuck, man, you just do some hamstring curls and you're done. That's your whole fucking leg. Whereas hack squats are so specific that maybe it's not the most appropriate thing to do. So if you just want to do a few exercises and train your whole lower body, squats are an absolutely great exercise to use. Squats are also great and best use case for people who want to get stronger in the squat, because that's just a thing people do, and for powerlifting, or stronger for sports. So if you want to become better at tennis and you know the lower body strength is important, which it is, you're probably going to do more squatting and less hack squatting because it's a free movement, it accommodates all body sizes, it allows it more athletic, more ballistic move, and it just transfers better to sport performance. And barbell squats are an excellent use case for advanced folks who do some pre-exhausting quad work before so that the quads are the limiting factor and the systemic fatigue and axial fatigue isn't as high in the squat. So if you do a couple sets of hack squats, a couple sets of leg presses, and then you do barbell squats as an advanced person, then you're winning. Then it's a good use case versus doing squats first and realizing like your cardio is shit, your lower back hurts, and your quads aren't even that pumped, and you should have not done this first. Hack squats, best use cases, intermediates and advanced, because beginners should focus mostly on developing general movement competency with free weights. If you learn how to lift your first year or two with mostly free weights, you're going to be an unbelievable lifter with free weights with excellent technique, super low chance of injury, great results. And anytime you get into a machine, because you're overqualified for the shit, because you can control your entire body and the movement you want, any machine we put you in after you've mastered free weights and your own body is just going to be like, oh, no problem, easy. I used to coach weightlifters in some of their hypertrophy work, and I would teach them how to do barbell rows, RP style, and upright rows, and they would just do them perfectly after like rep number 2. And I was like, oh my God, how are you so good at this? And then I realized like weightlifting, snatch, clean and jerk, and the derivative lifts, so much more complicated. It's so much more difficult, requires so much more body position than when you're trying to teach someone how to do a bent row and they're already a good weightlifter. They're like, oh, bro, this is no problem. And you're like, whoa, you're doing everything you're supposed to because they're overqualified. So if you are a beginner and you learn how to do free weight movements, body weight movements, barbell, dumbbell movements, you're going to be able to do any machine you want and the free weight movements. If you flip the script, it doesn't work the same way. If I teach you how to lift in hack squat, leg press machines, lat pull down machines, and then I try to get you to move out in the world doing lunges and squats and pull-ups, you may have a very tough adjustment period. Now, of course, it'll still work, but it's not ideal. It's real good to work on movement competency first and a more general preparedness, which squats, barbell squats give you, and save the hack squats and stuff for when you're not a beginner anymore. Does that mean beginners shouldn't do hack squats? No, absolutely not. But they should at least think like, in most cases, barbell squats are a better use of my time as a beginner than hack squats are. Now, so for hack squats, they're mostly for intermediates and advanced people. They're also for people specifically interested in quad hypertrophy. If you want like an overall lower body that's muscular, and you want some athletic stuff, hey, squats are great. But if you're like, look, I need my quads to grow, quads, period, not glutes, not adductors, not hamstrings, quads, you got a good argument for starting to throw some hack squats in there because that's what they do best, directly targeting the quads. Hack squats are also great for people that want to minimize fatigue spillover into their other training. You do barbell squats, it don't beat that ass. You do hack squat, it really just beats the quads up and everything else is spared to a large extent. So if you're really training with a high volume, 5-6 days a week program, and you're pretty advanced and your systemic fatigue is a realistic cap to how much you can survive, hack squats start to paint a better picture for you than barbell squats because they're a better return on your investment because you really just want quad hypertrophy and to leave everything the fuck alone. There is no avoiding hard training if you want to grow. But if you want to grow the most, your training needs to be hard and smart. RP Hypertrophy app will make sure you're progressing on track, monitoring and adjusting your workout at all times. So for all that work you're doing, you can be sure you're getting the best results. Hack squats are also great for folks that have mastered excellent squat technique and want more quad stimulus they can't get with a good SFR from more squatting. Because even if squats work really well for you, after 3 or 4 sets, 5 sets of high bar squats, your general fatigue is so high, your technique starts to not be as great. It's still a good stimulus, but the fatigue starts to get really, really high. Whereas if you stop after that and you move to hack squats, you don't have to worry about the axial loading and control at nearly as much, stabilization. You don't have to worry about your cardio nearly as much. You just go to town and it's all quads, 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 quads. So if you've already mastered really good squatting technique and you're getting a lot out of it, at some point the squat is going to be like, look, man, I ain't got not much for you. Then hack squats are an excellent, more precise tool to get more quad hypertrophy at a better stimulus to fatigue ratio. And lastly, hack squats are excellent for those who want to pre-exhaust their quads to get the most out of barbell squats after. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll do 3 or 4 sets of hack squats, really pre-cook the fuck out of my quads. And then after that, I'll go and do some barbell squats. I need to use less weight because my quads are so fucked up. They're by far the limiting factor. 2 sets of squats later with a load that normally wouldn't challenge me if I did it fresh, my quads are like overcooked hot dog in a microwave type cooked. So combining them by putting the hack squats first and then the squats after is an excellent tool for stronger advanced people that don't want a crap ton of systemic fatigue and really can't afford it because they have so much density in their program otherwise. So to recap, to talk about what you should be getting out of this video for if you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced. If you're a beginner, stick to barbell squats as much as you can. It's not a hard rule, but it's a good idea. For intermediates, stick to a combination of barbell squats and hack squats as needed. Sometimes you just need more quad work and less adductor work and lower back work, or just purely for variation. For the next few months, I'm going to really focus on barbell squats. After that, they're going to get a little stale. I'm going to focus on hack squats for a few months and go back and forth, back and forth. For advanced folks, hack squats, in most cases, especially if you do them well, are going to offer you better stimulus to fatigue ratios for direct quad hypertrophy in most cases. So if we're training an IFBB pro on the channel, and we have to pick barbell squats or hack squats, and for one video, it doesn't much matter. But if we're training them consistently in a program, hack squats, most times, not all times, are going to be the better choice if it's one versus the other. And if you do still want to benefit greatly from barbell squats, which are a fucking amazing exercise, as an advanced person, try doing hack squats or leg presses or leg extensions before barbell squatting to pre-exhaust the quads to make sure they're the limiting factor to reduce the systemic and axial fatigue and make your quads grow as much as possible, but not at such a huge expense to the rest of your program that you now have small back and small arms and small shoulders, and it's like you're in middle school and everyone's making fun of you again. I'll never forget what you said to me, Kyle. I still know where you live. And when you least fucking expect it, bro, I'll be there. What? See you guys next time.